Okay guys, I am back. I just got done watching Snow White and the Huntsman, and I have to say that this movie was pretty good. I would recommend you go see this because it's about 2 hours long and it's full of just really good action sequences. If you like the whole fantasy adventure type movie, this is definitely one you want to watch. They did a really great job. There's a lot of really cool visual scenes, such as the evil queen's mirror that's golden. When she goes in the milk and then comes back out, that's another really cool scene. The crows and the glass and everything. So overall, I thought this was a really decent movie, and I was entertained throughout the entire thing. The only reason I did get a little bit tired towards the end was because it was so late. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a really good movie. And I will go ahead and get into the spoilers right now. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, turn this video off now. Okay, so the movie starts off and Kristen Stewart is Snow White. Her dad just lost his wife, so he's grieving. His army is attacked by these soldiers who, when you hit them, they break apart into glass. And they find this woman, Charlize Theron, who is the evil queen, and he falls in love with her instantly. She's beautiful. He marries her the next day, and she has some type of spell where, because of her looks, she can force people to fall in love with her. She's got all types of other powers too. She can heal herself. She can stay young. She caused the soldiers who were made of glass to appear. So she has a lot of power. And the first thing she does is, after she's married, she kills the king. She locks Snow White away, and Snow White's childhood friend William gets taken away during the invading army. So we see the future. Snow White's grown up. It's Kristen Stewart. And somehow the queen needs her heart, because she is now the fairest. Now that she's of age, she's taken over as the fairest according to the mirror. So Charlize Theron needs to take her heart, that way she doesn't have to keep killing village girls. So Kristen Stewart, she has her brother, Charlize Theron has her brother, who's a super evil guy. You can tell just by looking at him, he's a villain. She has him go get her, and she has this nail with her, Kristen Stewart, so she attacks him, and she's able to escape. She sneaks out through the sewer, and she eventually gets away. She finds like a white horse. She rides it, and she gets lost in the dark forest. So the evil queen has to find someone who knows the dark forest, and she finds Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and he goes only because she promises that he can see his wife, who also died. He'll be able to see her again. The queen says she promises she can raise her from the dead. So he agrees to go look for Snow White. He finds her, and now that she's the fairest, he can't really kill her either. He's a good person, so he ends up fighting the evil queen's brother. He says, you know, you're an idiot. She can't bring the dead back to life. She has a lot of power, but she can't do that. So they get into a fight, and Chris Hemsworth helps her escape. The queen's brother comes back. The queen's really pissed off, says, you know, you better go get him, and all that type of stuff. Meanwhile, Chris Hemsworth and Snow White are sneaking out of the dark forest. They finally make their way out, and they come across a troll. We have another cool fight scene here. The graphics in this movie, the CGI, whatever, is awesome. And they have a big fight scene, but the troll, when it sees Kristen Stewart, it stops. It can't attack her. She has power over the troll, apparently, and it just walks away. Then they find this village of women who have scarred themselves because the queen absorbs women to stay younger. She like breathes in their soul or something. And they find this village of women who have scarred their faces so that they're no longer beautiful, so their power, so their youth won't help the queen, so the queen just leaves them alone. And of course, anywhere Snow White goes, the evil queen's brother is going to show up. He shows up here, he attacks them, they eventually escape, and they come across a band of dwarves. Of course, it's Snow White, so you're going to have the dwarves. The only one, they're all really recognizable, but I couldn't remember where I've seen these guys before, except one. If you've seen the movie Shaun of the Dead, his best friend, the chubby guy, is one of the dwarves, and he's really funny. They do have a lot of comedy scenes. And so the dwarves take him to the sanctuary where the fairies live. And we see like a lot of fantasy elements in this movie. And this is another one. We meet these fairies. And eventually the brother attacks again. However, this time William, her childhood friend, shows back up. He pretended he's a really good guy with a bow and arrow. And he pretended he would help the evil queen's brother find Snow White. But he really just did it so he could help Snow White. So he finds her and he joins up with the group. Sadly, one of the dwarves gets killed, and they eventually get back to the Duke, another town that's willing to help the queen, or Snow White. So they get back to this place, and I may have gotten ahead of myself here. Or they're on their way there, and the evil queen takes the form of William, who tricks Snow White into eating the poison apple. So of course she's poisoned, and William kisses her. She doesn't come back to life. So they take her body to the good town. The people are all upset. They feel like the last chance of hope they had is now gone. Chris Hemsworth is there in like her tomb, I guess, and he's freaking out because he's upset. Everything he's ever touched always turns to crap. So he kisses her and she actually comes back to life. So they leave and she comes out and everybody's really surprised. And then he turns around and realizes she's alive again, so he's happy, and she gets everybody up in arms. They're ready to go fight the evil queen. We get another really cool final battle scene where they're just charging into the castle of the evil queen. They're fighting her soldiers. The dwarves are fighting. The evil queen has archers shooting arrows, dropping hot tar on people. Eventually, Kristen Stewart makes her way to the evil queen, along with Chris Hemsworth, William, and a few other soldiers who were there to die. Obviously, they're just fodder. And the last thing she does is she causes all this glass to break in the ceiling, and it forms these glass monsters that just attack. Once they're cut, they just reform. So while Chris Hemsworth and William and the other guys are fighting these glass monsters, Kristen Stewart fights the queen, and it's really one-sided. The queen's just destroying her, but eventually Kristen Stewart gets the better of her and stabs her with a knife, killing her. And then we see her become the rightful heir to the throne. Kristen Stewart becomes queen, and we see Chris Hemsworth in the crowd, and she's smiling at him. And that was it. That was the end of the movie. So yeah, like I said, this was a really cool movie. I liked the action scenes. I thought visually it looked amazing. And I really do recommend this movie. I thought it was pretty great. So yeah, that's my review of Snow White and the Huntsman. I hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments below. And thanks for watching.